Table again.
Okay, but we've got Enix, Enix, that's there before.
I also wish that's gonna take longer than Josh's.
Okay.
So
Your Honor, I just didn't want to back you up any further. I don't believe Mr. Enix agrees with any part of my recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
So Josh,
You guys need a break?
what's that?
You need a break?
I'm good, but you've got both of them coming in and they're both train wrecks. So you just tell me which one you want first.
Okay,
Because there's no
let's just
agreement.
drop.
Okay. Don't do it, Stephanie.
Listen, if I could find a way not to. Are you ready then, or do you need a minute?
No, we can do it.
All right.
Calling the matter of Lindsay Simon versus Michael Enix.
For the record, this matter is before the court for review of a defendant father's parenting time, status of a neurological evaluation for the minor child, and virtual schooling and any other issues. This hearing is being conducted via Zoom. Present is Attorney Amy Waskowiak, representing the plaintiff mother, Lindsay Simon. Ms. Simon is present. In addition, Attorney Bernadine Trout is present, representing the defendant father, Michael Enix. Good afternoon, Ms. Trout. And
Good
Michael
afternoon.
Enix is present, Mr. Enix. And finally, our guardian ad litem, Stephen Jednick, is also present. The parties have conferred at length with Mr. Pratt. And I apologize. We had some matters that just went over this afternoon, so I apologize for the delay. We try to schedule these every 30 minutes. Sometimes they run over. First of all, did everyone receive a copy of the guardian ad litem report of Mr. Jednick?
I did.
I did.
Okay, and Mr. Enix, you've received a copy as well?
I did through my attorney,
Okay.
yes.
All right. All right, the parties have conferred with Mr. Pratt. Mr. Pratt has provided the court with fine recommendation that Mr. Enix shall have reasonable phone contact via phone calls, text message with the minor child. Hunters and new therapists shall be notified by mother that a goal, yes, a goal is to reunify the child with the father. Absolutely, that's the primary goal here. In addition, get him back to school. The parties were ordered on November 7th, 2023 to add all appointments to the app closed calendar. Fathers not to interfere or attend those appointments, but at least should be made aware of them by mom on the app closed calendar. Father shall begin access to my chart for the minor child hunter. Father shall be kept informed of all information regarding medical and schooling for the minor child hunter. The minor child hunter shall be enrolled in Bedford Virtual Academy for the first semester of the 2024-25 school year. And he shall continue with Dr. Hasib and Dr. Lloyd and follow all reasonable recommendations. Further, both parties shall submit to psychological evaluations at their own expense with Dr. Drescher. And finally, the parties shall share the cost of the psychiatric evaluation of Hunter. And the parties will return to this court to review all standing issues on December 3rd, 2024 at 9 a.m. Obviously, it goes without saying that any prior orders which are not inconsistent with this recommendation would remain in full force and effect. That is a recommendation. Ms. Waskowiak, is this recommendation agreeable with Ms. Simon?
Yes. Can I ask the date? I don't believe I knew that before.
I'm sorry, the date is December 3rd at 9 a.m.
December 3rd. Okay. Yes, it is agreeable, Your Honor.
All right, Ms. Trout, is this a recommendation agreeable with your client?
No, it is not, Your Honor.
Okay.
And if you would, does the court want me to proceed in explaining why?
Yes, yep, in terms of what is every provision of this recommendation unacceptable?
Not every provision, Your Honor, but most of it, yes.
Okay.
So, Your Honor, we've had an opportunity to review the GAL report as well as have lengthy meeting with FOC today. What we're concerned about is that mom has really the focus of the court and past relationships here is the focus has been on dad's relationship with the son. Our position is that mother has been woefully inadequate in parenting this child. She seems to be totally incapable of parenting the child. The child is 12 years old. He seems to be able to dictate pretty much whatever is going on in life. There's a recommendation that that for the psychological examinations. My client hasn't seen his child in over a year.
Ms. Berger, Ms. Trout, are you familiar with the history of this case? Are you familiar with the history of this case?
Oh,
The court
I've
has
seen some
taken
videos,
extreme,
Your Honor.
every
gone through the
possible
YouTube
conceivable
video.
human possibility this court has exercised without success.
I got you.
I know I don't usually do this, but this is just too much. I can't type fast enough or effective enough to disagree hard enough with what he just said. They've tried everything possible, everything humanly possible. Are you kidding me? He's done nothing. He's told mom to do things, she hasn't done them. He acts like that's enough. It's not enough. Nobody has ever once forced mom to comply, forced mom to go away, to get the hell out of the car, to leave him there, to make this thing happen. Everything conceivable. Oh, sorry. All right, interruption over.
To get Hunter to see his dad without
I got
success. Well, I had one day where Miss Simon sat out in the van outside the courthouse for the entire 8 hours trying to get Hunter in.
Saw
there.
that on the video as well,
We
Your
tried
Honor.
everything. We tried to
Gotcha.
have Mr. Enix share parent time with his Hunter. Hunter would not leave the house when he got out of the vehicle. I've tried everything conceivable to mankind.
Yeah,
So you give me the
I
magic
saw that.
answer. Clearly, the psychological evaluations are appropriate on both sides. I know there's claims of parental alienation, so both sides should get psychological evaluations.
But Your Honor, the reason why I'm objecting, and if I could create a record of why for the sites,
Sure.
is that the whole purpose of the psychological examination is to look at what's going on with this child. Dad has not even been there. This motion came about because Dad wanted to see his son. So now it's been over a year that he's not seen him. And mother has been exposed to this child for all of this time. I think the focus of a psychological evaluation should be between mother and son, because she has been the one there influencing him and being with him for the last year. Father has not. There's just absolutely no reason for dad to have a psychological evaluation as far as parenting, because he hasn't been able to parent his son. So I just don't see why he should go through the expense of a psychological evaluation. I believe the focus needs to be on mom and son and that relationship, because something is amiss here, Your Honor. And it's amiss because mother has been with this child. And she's allowed him to be at home. She's allowed him to have no activities, outside activities, those kinds of things. And I think the psychological evaluation needs to focus on them and not dad. Somehow we need to turn the tables here and look at something else that's going on, particularly since dad has not been exposed. So that's one objection that we had. The other objection, Your Honor, is for a 5-month review. 5 months for what? We would prefer something akin to 90-day review. They're saying that they want to review because the child doesn't have a diagnosis yet. It doesn't take 5 months to get a diagnosis. Then it was, well, you need to get the psychological evaluations. It doesn't take 5 months to get a psychological evaluation. So we're asking for a sooner review than 90 days. And we're asking that the psychological evaluation be mom and son and not include Mr. Enix, because he simply has not even been with the child at all. So why is he being evaluated? Because he's brought emotion? I don't understand that.
Those are valid points, Ms. Trout. So the remainder of the recommendation is acceptable. I understand, not totally, but again, Mr. Enix is willing to live with the other recommendations about the virtual school for the next semester.
Well, we'd have pretty much no other choice. I mean, he's not going to in-person. He's got to be educated some kind of way. So we're not objecting to that, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, Ms. Trout. Ms. Woskowiak, do you want to respond to those two issues? Certainly, clerk, move up the review date. We can get a review date the first week of November. And these things need to move on. I'm just sort of disappointed. I thought we'd have this full evaluation of Hunter by now.
Yes, Your Honor.
This thing is dragging out way too long. Ms. Simon gets on the phone. I don't know why the court wanted University of Michigan, not, I don't know, NOMA. No,
Well, there's two
NOMS, I don't know what institution that is, but it's not in the University of Michigan. That's what the court ordered.
Well, let me explain that to your honor, because I was prepared to do that. So there was an original referral sent to the University of Michigan a couple days after the hearing. The University of Michigan, and I have the letter that I can show the court, that on May 6th, they denied the neuropsychological department report. It was then the pediatrician then sent it back again, and did another referral. That one was denied on June 14th. So after both of those denials by the University of Michigan, she then took it upon herself to go to find another place that would do the evaluation. And that was the one that was attached to Mr. Jedniak's report. There was then a subsequent referral made to the infectious disease expert. And she managed to, they told her that that would be 10 to 12 months to get in. She got on the waiting list for August 21st. They then pulled her up to an appointment. She actually went today to Dr. Lloyd as a follow-up. So she has been more than diligent. And I think that actually proves my point that we do need 5 months, because we were in here in April and it took all of this time. Unfortunately, the battery is getting low on my computer. I may need to get a plug-in a second, Your Honor. But it took all of that time to get to the University of Michigan for one doctor for the infectious disease expert and to get the neuropsych evaluation. And even then we couldn't get them both to the University of Michigan because of all the obstacles. So I think that that is appropriate, that it could take us a while given insurance, given doctors, everything that would be required to follow through. As to her other argument that the psychological evaluation should not be of Mr. Enix, I would say that just because the child has not been with him does not mean that he does not have any psychological disorders that should be evaluated. This child has shown consistently that he doesn't want to go with his father. And if there is a psychological reason for that, the court should be aware of it. If we are just to do Ms. Simon's evaluation and it comes back that she doesn't have any problems, we don't then want to wait and find out and have it do a psychological evaluation of Mr. Enix. It's appropriate in these cases to do everybody all at once by one person and get the results of those. I will say also from my personal experience, those things do take quite a long time to get a psychological evaluation. So we can do an earlier appointment, but I'm afraid that if we set this earlier, what's going to happen is that we won't have all this information.
Has anyone reached out to Dr. Drescher to find out how long it's going to take?
I did not reach out to her to ask her how long it's going to take, but I can say from other experience with her, it took several months. I would say 4 months.
So University of Michigan will not do an evaluation of Hunter without a referral from a pediatrician. Is that correct? Ms. Waskoviak, you're freezing up.
Yeah, I think her battery might have gone on her. Yeah. Your Honor, I would ask to reiterate the fact that mother has woefully failed to do what this court has ordered. She never did get the appointment with U of M. She took him to another doctor who has made an entire circle. Now we go back to U of M. The recommendation is to go back to U of M or Cleveland. So now we're in this circular pattern with no results since April.
She
I
also
agree.
went
Court's
seeking
frustrated
Pandas.
likewise. Now, what does NOMS stand for? Northern Ohio, what, medical something? Even the paperwork doesn't even describe what NOMS stands for.
Well, I know it was in search of pandas, and we were told not to bring pandas into it.
This is what the recommendations of the people who are doing the evaluations, that's their conclusion. The fact
They
that
put pandas on
What
the air.
institution is this? Tell me what the name of the institution is. Is it NOMS? Is it an acronym
Northern
for something?
Ohio Medical Specialists, and I can share the screens for your honor from the University of Michigan Medicine, where they did not accept the neuropsych assessments twice. She twice sent up referrals from the pediatrician. They twice refused the referrals. I will read from it. It says that we have reviewed the referral information and determined that the primary concerns appear to center on behavioral psychiatric difficulties rather than neurocognitive impairments. Our clinic serves primarily medical and neurodevelopmental concerns. Thus, we are less equipped to optimally evaluate children with primarily psychiatric behaviorally related concerns. And that was the same response that they got in June 14th when they sent a slightly different referral from the pediatrician's office. So it was only after 2 times when the University of Michigan said, we aren't going to accept the neuropsych evaluate or referral, that she went to another place because she knew she couldn't come back to this court empty-handed.
Did the referral have pandas in it?
It did not.
Right, perhaps you can provide a copy of that correspondence to Ms. Trout and to Mr. Jednick.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the court just pointed, maybe, I'm not sure who suggested we need a neuropsych evaluation.
That was the pediatrician.
It could be another specialist
The
that we need to
psychologist.
reach out to University of Michigan rather than neuropsych.
That was the psychologist's recommendation.
Okay. I mean, has someone gone back to that psychologist and said, hey, the U of M says a neuropsych is not appropriate for this child?
Well, they got the neuropsych done locally. That's what the report was from Dr. Hasib. And then they followed the recommendation that they see that the child see a pediatric infectious disease expert at the University of Michigan. And that was just done today.
After we provided pandas.
And our position is, Your Honor, if the child has pandas, let's say it does, then where is the authority coming from his mother still for dad to have parenting time? I'm not connecting pandas disorder with his parenting time. To me, the connection is just not there. You know, I've just had lots of experience as a registered nurse with children with psych problems, and I don't see that. I see it as that this boy, 12-year-old boy, is orchestrating the major events in his life, and that mother is incapable of exercising any authority over him to have him do what he needs to be doing. He's sitting at home, halfway homeschooling. He's obese by definition. He has no outside activities, and he does what he wants. That's what I see.
Right.
Well, Your Honor, I think if you read Mr. Jednick's report, you'll see that since Mr. Enix has stepped back, the child is improving. He has lost some weight. He is moving in the right direction. And I believe that if we get the diagnosis, even if it's a diagnosis that Mr. Enix does not like, we can then be back in the court and say, this is what the diagnosis is from these providers. And in addition to that, we will then have the psychologicals done, and we can determine who has the appropriate parenting skills or who has any psychological disorders that might be impacting this child. I think it's reasonable, given that this child is absolutely refusing to go to his father, that it's not mother's parenting, but rather Mr. Enix's behavior that's causing this to happen. And I think we need the remainder of these tools that are recommended by friend of the court in order to reach a resolution.
Your Honor, this court has been looking at Mr. Enix for over a year.
Ms. Trout, do you
They
have a
haven't
background
been
in
looking
nursing?
at the mother for over a year. Something is amiss with that relationship.
No question. Ms. Trout, you have a background in nursing, is that correct?
I'm a registered nurse with and I concentrated in child and adolescent psychiatry.
Well, good. Obviously, this child has some psychological problems. What do you think? As opposed, do you think he needs a neuropsych evaluation or something other than neuropsych?
No, I think this child has more of a psychological, not neuropsych, but a psychological problem. Well, the neural part will come when they finally get the MRI, when they, if there's some kind of neural problem with him, it'll show up on an MRI. This child is oppositional. He has a behavior, psychological problem rather than anything the neurological going on with him. And I would concede to him having pandas or anything else you want to name. Fine.
Right. So an MRI would show whether or not it's a neuro psych problem?
That along with testing.
Okay, Miss Wojtkowiak, has the MRI been scheduled?
It is waiting for approval from insurance. Yes, we are trying to get the MRI scheduled. And it's my understanding that the child will then go back once the MRI is done, he'll have one appointment with Dr. Hasib, correct?
I believe so.
He'll follow up, which is the person who did the neuropsych. He will probably, as you indicated, indicate that there's nothing neuropsychological. We've already just said we could do the psychological of the parents and the child. So that means Hunter would get the psychological that he needs. And we would do the follow-up with Dr. Chenoweth, who is the infectious disease expert, which is why the friend of the court recommended that we follow all the recommendations of both Dr. Hasib and Dr. Lloyd.
Okay, the billing for the MRI has been submitted to both insurers, mom as well as dad's?
But dad doesn't have any insurance. It's just my insurance. It's been put through the place that he's going through, and they're going through the insurance process with my insurance.
So even though the neuropsychologist, Dr. Hasib, is recommending it, the insurance company is still balking?
Yeah, and that's typical. They said to expect one. Insurance companies apparently deny the first one usually, but they said it should hopefully just take a couple of weeks. We've already done the EEG in-house at Dr. Hasib's office, but they don't do MRIs there, so they had to send it to an imaging place. But it's
Dr.
in
Hasib recommended on June 27th, that's 6 weeks ago. And Mr. Enix, you don't have insurance covering the Hunter?
Well, my insurance is Cigna, and ProMedica no longer takes Cigna. So we had to find a place to be able to do the MRI. So again, it's in process. We've already found the place to do it.
Well, this is too long. We need to change. If ProMedica would not cover these expenses, we can't wait 6 months for an MRI.
Well, that's why we're not going through ProMedica. We're going through Mercy because they will take his insurance and not give us problems.
Okay. So is it that referral from Dr. Hasib has been sent to Mercy Hospital then?
Correct.
Okay. What was the response? We'll let you know.
Yes, I've already spoke to them. They were just again waiting for approval from insurance. Those MRIs are rather expensive, so you have to get approval from insurance, even if you have a referral from the doctor. I'm sure there's not going to be an issue, but we've already done the EEG, we've done the blood work.
But it's been 6 weeks. The court's concerned about the time frame. Mr. Enix, you have no insurance on Hunter?
No, we've always had Ms. Simon carry insurance.
Right,
That's the way she
right.
wanted it from the beginning. But
Right,
there
so-
is
so Ms.
also a
Simon, follow up on that.
psychologist.
You need to push that insurance company. I'm just surprised that the physician is recommending that the insurance company would balk.
Your Honor, there's a child psychologist right down the road in Lambertville that deals with Mercy that I told her about because I knew going into it, ProMedica won't take his insurance, but Mercy does. So we need to deal with Mercy side of things because
Right,
it
you
will
can
all move
provide
much
that-
quicker.
The information to Ms. Trout. Ms. Trout can pass it on to Ms. Wojtkowiak, if that
Yep.
will speed things up.
What we had asked for, Your Honor, and Ms. LaPrette, she did address the fact that dad is not getting any medical information. There's stuff presented today that was disseminated out today in our hearing, our conference this morning or this afternoon, that dad had no idea had happened. So she did address it, saying that he needs to, because we have my chart now. People can log on and you get immediate. You leave the doctor in an hour, your results are there. We have no idea what the blood test that was ordered came back with. No idea of anything. So she did address that, and we do agree with the my chart. But mom needs to inform dad of things that's going on medically. They do have joint legal custody, and she needs to do that. And not only inform with joint legal custody, he's supposed to be making decisions with her. But in this circumstance, we'll settle for some information, at least, to come to him. The other thing we asked for, Your Honor, was immediate therapeutic or reunification parenting time. We got stuck on that as how we're going to get that to happen because the child is refusing to go from one place to another. And I am abreast. I did see on YouTube where this court went out of its way, ordering for mom to show up in the parking lot for days with this kid. I get it, Your Honor. I've seen that. I don't know what to do as far as trying to reunify this dad with his son. I say take dad where he is rather than taking the kid where dad is. He's at home, then maybe dad can go and have a half an hour visit without mom being present and grandparents being present. That kind of thing, you know, where dad goes where he is rather than trying to bring the child where dad is. And we also asked, Your Honor, for the child support payments to be placed in escrow until mother can follow up on what she needs to do, follow up on his court orders, and that dad have at least 3 parenting time sessions, even if they're 15 minutes to half an hour with the child, and that she submits herself to a psychological examination. Those are the things that we asked for. We did get the access to the medical records, and hopefully that happens. So we just too long kicking the can down the road 5 months to come back to the same thing. And then there's no criteria in the report to say what should have happened, what should happen in 5 months.
Your Honor, I want to respond just to those 3 things briefly. In terms of, we did get an agreement, or we did have a recommendation regarding the medical information, but it is not so simple as the mom simply not providing medical information. As you know, there's been lots of drama that's been involved, including Mr. Enix posting the court proceedings on various YouTube and social media.
I understand. We're talking about medical information on
Right.
AppClose.
I understand, but the reason that it wasn't getting provided is that my client was getting threats from people because he was posting things. And so she was afraid that if he found out about medical appointments, he was going to send people there to obstruct the appointments and or to cause harm to her or the child. That is why we put the provision in there that said that he will not interfere in any way in those appointments. So she is going to provide that information, but I didn't want the court to think that there wasn't a reason. There was a valid reason that he wasn't getting that information. As to taking Mr. Enix to where the child is, as Your Honor is well aware, we have done that before. It was unsuccessful. There were conflicts that arose at the house, and there were problems even when only my client was there. And finally, as to the child support escrow, that of course doesn't make any sense, given that the child support belongs to the child, and it would be denying Hunter the benefit of that money if we were to escrow that while my client has possession of the child.
Right, but the court will not escrow child support at this point in time. Mr. Jednick, first of all, the court's going to move this review up. Is everyone available on November 6th? Rather than December, let's move November 6th, 1:30 or 2:30?
Yes.
Check your schedules.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Ms. Trout, Mr. Jednick?
Yes.
I'm good with November 6th.
I'm available.
Okay, so the court will review this matter November 6th. Do you want 1:30 or 2:30?
Either one.
It's at 1:30 then. November 6th at 1:30. Finally, Mr. Jednick, the court would like your opinion in terms of only the plaintiff screened psychological evaluation. There does not seem to this court to be concerns about father's parenting skills. It seems like, yes, he's frustrated. He posted some things publicly that he should not have, but it seems like his contacts, his relationship with Hunter has always been appropriate. The court does not recall any incidences where he acted inappropriately or physically attempted to pull Hunter out of the house or something. Do you believe we need a psychological evaluation of Mr. Enix?
I don't disagree with the facts the court laid out. My 2 cents on that is I don't want psychological evaluations to be framed as a punishment. We're trying to get to the bottom of what the problem is here. And if that involves ruling out things with mom and ruling out things with dad with that evaluation, that might give insight. So I don't want to frame it as a punishment. I just want to rule things out and get answers on things. And if the evaluator says there's no problem with Mr. Enix, frankly, I think they would strengthen his position if he wants that to be said. So
And John, I just had to represent to the court that the psychological evaluation came from me. And I asked for a mother because of what we're seeing here between this mother and this child. It raises a red flag for me. And she's been the one that's been exposed. It was my request for her. There was no request out for him. He was just lumped into the equation as the discussion went on. So I would still reiterate the